So here's the power seat assembling out of the E. They are very similar, if not identical, 57 through 59. Imperial used the same system too, only the cables will be longer because the Imperial was wider, and potentially the frames may not interchange from Imperial, but the idea is the same. And this system was used like on a 62 New Yorker. 63, they did a substantial change to how they did their power seats. Anyway, you got only one motor, and that runs into this transmission thingy. And there are 3 cables this way, and there are 3 cables this way. So you've got slave motors in there. And one will give you the fore and the aft. One will give you rear up and down. One gives you front up and down. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 cables. And you get tilt by, just either holding one motor and running the other one down, or vice versa. And you get up by running both tilt motors up and down by the opposite. So here's your seat switch. And this system, where are you going? Where are you going? Hold on, hold on. Come back, Lucy. This one had been working just fine, and we decided we'd lubricate it. So, all right, so the switch is upside down. Doing this will give me a lower, which is what you just heard. And there, see how she's coming down? And of course, that gets you the upper. So what's happening is the switch is turning on the motor and telling it either to go that way or rotate the other way. And then it is going over to one of these 3 solenoids. And this is fore and aft. My problem is everything was working. And you can see these seat tracks have been adjusted all the way back. See all the gap in there? I moved them all the way back just fine. But now I can't get it to engage the transmission to go forward or backwards, which tells me something's wrong in here. I've never taken one of these apart, and I'm going to read up on the service manual, and I got a spare at the shop. I'm going to disassemble that. See what that tells me. This is a 1958 manual, and it has a section. This is under the electrical system section, page 38. Power seats. A diagram of the power seat. And yeah. Same thing that you'll find in like a 60 manual. But more importantly is if you keep going, you get to service diagnosis. I'm not sure that's in the 60 manual. I'll have to check that again. Could be. But here's the sections you want to know. Oh, look at this. Why doesn't my horn blow? Why doesn't my fuel gauge work? And what's cooking with my power seats? What to do if the motor's inoperative, seat inoperative, motor runs, solenoid clicks. Wow. Check unit for stripped or broken gear. Replace drive unit if necessary. And more. So, I'm not sure I knew this was here. Page 52 of the 1958 service manual. Diagnosis. Ooh, I love it. So this is that spare unit I was telling you about that I had down at the shop. You remove those 2 Phillips screws and you can disconnect that collar, which runs over to the passenger side and gives you a whole lot more room to work. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we should be able to see the inside of the transmission. So here we have the cover removed. Really not too much to see in here. This is one little clever system. Now, you see down here, that is part of the clutch system. And up here, that's the other part of the clutch system. The solenoid lever will, when activated, pull down see the clutch mechanism? So it will, this is what is driving it, and then this will engage. Really pretty clever. But what I also learned here, you've got your power input from the motor here, driving this gear, which drives this gear, which drives this gear. So whenever that motor's spinning, all 3 gears are rotating. And then all you depend on is this solenoid to pull the plunger down and engage those clutch pieces. That will start turning the shaft, and inside the shaft is the square drive for the cable. And on the back side is also the square drive for the short little cable that goes to these slave motors. I've removed the 3 levers from the solenoids. You can see the springs that are down in the cavities, and now you can see the clutch pieces, and these are the 3 pieces. This system seems to be used also on GM products. I saw, I think it was like a 63 Cadillac power seat, and same idea. I don't know who built these, but it might have been the same supplier for the big 3. The gears just pull right out of their bushings. I'm disassembling this just because I want to learn, but in the general course of repairs, I wouldn't think you'd have to go this far. These are the 3 driven pieces. They look to be identical. They say one of the problems could be a broken gear. It looks to me like they interchange. So all you have to do is find someone like Murray and have him break open a seat mechanism and sell you some spare parts. But on the others, on the downside in here, are those short cables. So I imagine when I go to put these back in, I'm going to have a little bit of an adventure getting the square cables to align. But now we can shift our focus to the solenoid aspect. Green wire goes to this solenoid. Yellow goes to that one. And a brownish purple goes to the one on the bottom. Stop that. What we're going to do today is pull this solenoid pack off and replace it with the other one. See what we get. So here I have them back together. Turns out reassembling wasn't that difficult. If you spin these while pushing down, then you can coax that cable under here to fit back in that receiver. So spinning and pushing, there we go. So I'm going to button this back up and move to solenoids. Now, did I show you this? This is the transmission. These are the things that actually engage the clutches. Clever little thing. Lots of good grease still in here, but you know, I imagine these power seat motors, they don't get many hours in total of use. You move the seat, you're done, you adjust it, well. There are 2 Phillips head screws. Oops. There. One there, and one that's kind of hard to get at down in there. But if you release those, you see the solenoid springs back, and you can remove the solenoid package. Let me put you down. There, I didn't want to lose those springs, but remember when we had these things out? Well, there they are again. And this is your solenoid package. Back at the ease seat, and one thing we should do before tearing into this any further is verify that this solenoid is getting juice. So I will hook my test light. And we will try the switch. Hold on, hold on. So we are getting juice to the solenoid, but it seems like the solenoid is not pulling in its transmission. Let's take a look at the wiring. The green wire. Well, we got the solenoid pack off of the original seat motor, and you can see why that wasn't working. That is the transmission lever that goes up into the transmission, and it is seized inside the solenoid. Solenoid might not be bad, but somehow that just stuck in there, and it has fractured at the top, so we will have to take the top of the transmission off and get one of these from the spare. Back at the shop, this is the spare unit. I'm going to remove this assembly. It's really very easy to take off. There are two 1/2 inch bolts here, and when you remove those, these 3 cables running to the driver bracket just pull out, and it's off free and easy. There you go. These will probably be more of a challenge to install, but all I want to do right now is take this assembly back to the garage, because I'm going to need pieces out of it. So this is my spare, and I broke one of these transmission levers, so I had to take that and put it in the other one. This is that solenoid plunger that was stuck so badly. It took the vice grips and hammering on the vice grips to get it to release, because I needed the spring from underneath of it. You know, it's not even the same color as the other ones. Well, anyway, the E-transmission with the new parts in it, and I just swapped in the whole solenoid case. A note on reassembling. The springs are inside these solenoids. So if you take this solenoid pack off, it makes it very easy to reassemble those levers, clutches, and transmissions up in here. And it's important that you get all of those hooks in and in the slot for the receivers. Otherwise, when you go to clamp this down, that hook will be on top of the clutch, and it just won't stack up. So if you get this correct, and then tighten it down. And you put the 3 springs in here, and then the coil pack goes in. It does take, a little bit of wiggling, but you've only got 2 screws. If they are flat, then you've got it aligned. So what I need to see here is, does this work? And does this spin, and does this spin? This one here will be fore and aft. This is what was giving me the trouble. So, don't know if you could see that, but it spins, and does it go the other way? And that transmission isn't making any god-awful noises. So now let's check the risers for tilt. I want to see both of these spinning. And they do. We fixed the motor problem, and now it's a matter of reassembly. Because I have not moved this one or this one, I haven't lost the sequence. I've been spinning these cables, but cables don't care. So I shouldn't have to worry about timing. It's just a matter of reassembly and getting these square cables to catch the receiver in the slave motors. I don't know. This almost might be progress. The easiest way to reassemble this portion is to put those 3 short tubes that run over to this way. There. Those 3 tubes. Get them stuck on the motor housing first. Then put the receiving ends in down here as much as you can. Now they may be off sequence because that drive cable may need to get rotated. Well, the easy way to do that, you have this end of the cable available, and with the right side screwdriver blade you can put that in here. Transmission is not locked, and then you can rotate your cable a little bit until you get the square, and then you'll feel that last section pop in. And then these are the 2 mounting screws. This assembly is essentially complete and could go back in the car. And then you could bring over that half and do the connection. What I was talking about on the reassembly. You see, I've got the yokes in the slots. I also have these drive pins lined up with their collars. So all the drive pins are in and set. There, see that? That yoke is down and engaged. And you can see that yoke is down. So when all these guys are down, and you can take the cover and slide it on. It will sit down and flush without pinching anything. That's when you know you got it right. So here you go. We have the driver's side and passenger side seat tracks installed and connected. We've run the wires. That is the cigar lighter, which goes on the frame, and the red and the green wires go up to the circuit breakers up in there. We have the carpet pretty well set. You're wondering how to connect these once they've been separated. The cables have, well, they're four-sided. They've got flats in them, and that's what would be received in here. So all you do is take a screwdriver about the right size for here. You go see where the flats are, and then you go move the receiver, which has no load on it, to about what you're thinking. You match it to this as best you can, See if you can't get them partially set. And if you need to, you can hook up the juice to the switch and just give it a quick bump, and that may be all you need to get them locked in. So took a long time to get here. By the way, this seat frame is really hungry for ground, because the motor's got used to it, but the only ground it's got are those four mounting brackets. So you're going through carpet, in this case plastic, and then I've got undercoat. So if you're not getting consistency, check for ground. So I'm pretty pleased that nice, solid. Now I get to put the seat frame on, and we start buttoning up. Oh yes, a note on carpet installation. That kick panel, and I've got one I have not yet installed here. There is a slot right about here. Let's see. There, see it? That wants to pick up the nose of the kick panel. Well, if you've got your carpet laid over it, that's going to prevent the nose from grabbing that slot. So you want to cut that back. You can see I also added wire protectors, because there are sharp edges down in here. Let's get this turkey buttoned up. Snap of the fingers, ta-da. So, seats are back in. And things look pretty good. That seat, that was the first one I put in. 30 seconds maybe. It just fit, everything, boom. I'd say maybe 15 minutes of wrestling with this one. I don't know, I just wouldn't find the receiving sockets, but well, one thing about these seats is they're easier to do than a bench because they're light. One fella can do it. So I got more to button up, but yeah, let's just change the carpet. How long could that take? What, 3 months later? Okay, now we move on.